So today we have a special guest, Everdawn Charles. Everdawn is a mom of three, wife of a firefighter, and a business owner who loves to build things big. She's a top producing realtor, and she's usually found juggling family life, chasing growth, and taking long walks where she talks things out with Jesus. She's passionate about learning, creating, finding joy in everyday moments. At the core of it all, the fire in her soul is to help others break free and live their best life. And that starts with her being brave enough to share her own story. So welcome, Everdawn. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you, Miss Tara. I'm happy to be here.
So go ahead, Everdawn. You have an amazing testimony, and I'm really grateful for you to share your story. So take it away.
Yes. Gosh, so you told me we have 30 minutes, and I've been thinking about this, and I was like, I feel like I have lived about so many different lives, and it could take up probably like 10 30-minute sessions to get through it all. So I'm just trusting the Lord in what He has for me to share. He's very much put it on my heart to share my story, because my story is so good, because it just shows His redemption and His love and His care for me, and just I see it so clearly for other people as well. And He's really helped me walk through my story, some hard things that happened, and shown me how He was there throughout all of it. And I've honestly thought about, how can I share my story, my struggles, without mentioning God? And I've tried to do that. Like, I've tried to actually write that book, and it's just not possible without Him, because I am who I am because of Him. And so I have 3 kids. 2 are in college now. I've got 1 in middle school, almost headed to high school. And the Lord has given me an opportunity. I have this amazing testimony, this amazing story that He has just completely delivered me from. I came to know Him at the age of 19. And I feel like He's like, okay, like, your kids are good, Ever. They know me. They're solid. Like, life is good, and I kind of need you to share your story again. Like, I need that story. I need people to hear it so that other people can be healed as well. So, growing up in Billings, Montana, I was born, came into this world with a single mom. Growing up in Billings, Montana, with the name Everdawn, which was just interesting in and of itself. Throughout my story, it's very important for people to know, because there are some hard things that happened in my upbringing, and it's really important for people to know that the entire time I was surrounded by good, wonderful, caring people, and God always made sure that I was protected in every situation. And He always, like, looking back, I didn't realize it at the time, but the confidence that I had and the reassurance that I had, knowing that I was loved, even though I didn't necessarily feel love at certain times, I just knew. I just had confidence when I was a little girl that the situations that were happening to me they weren't my fault, essentially, and it wasn't my choosing. It was the choosing of the people that were my caretakers. And
Which is amazing insight, to be honest, as a little girl.
Right?
Just have that connect. I think kids automatically have that beautiful connection with God. And, you know, it's wonderful how you held tight, and how, you know, most kids just take it in like it's their fault. So it's just beautiful that you're like, you could have that perspective at such a young age. That's amazing. So tell us more about the things that happened to you when you were young.
Oh gosh. And I share this. So I've talked with you, Tara, about this. And it's so interesting when I go through and share, because I've shared my story with other people before, and it's almost like I feel like I am causing trauma on them by sharing my story. And so I just went back to the Lord and was like, Lord, you are always there. You love me so much. Like, how can I share my story to help others find their freedom in Him? And He just showed me so clearly how He was there, and that perspective I had as a child, Tara, that was from Him. Like, He showed that to me because I needed it, which, full circle, I'm so thankful that these hard things happened, because I am who I am today. And it's just so valuable. Like, it just, gosh, you know, I heard from somebody that hurt healed people heal others. And so I'm so thankful for that hurt and the healing that I had to choose in order to be able to heal others. And so upbringing, so single mom, beautiful, successful, doing her own things. Both my parents, they came, they met each other after going through divorces, after being hurt. And so they essentially are coming together in college and just after a lot of hurt and pain and turmoil already. And I literally, they had a couple dates and here I am. So my mom desperately wanted to be a mom and just decided, I think, from what I understand from my aunt, is she just wanted to be a mom. And so here she's pregnant. And so she's going to take this opportunity to be a mom. And she's not going to share that with the gentleman, my dad, that she just wanted to move on from. So thankfully, he did run into her at about 9 months pregnant and kind of asked her a couple questions to find out that, yes, I was his. So anyways, she's successful, she's beautiful, she's got a lot going on for her, but she's also hurting. She has past hurts. And, she also is attractive. And so, a boyfriend comes here and there. And this one particular boyfriend of hers was also divorced with 3 kids and, really took a liking to my mom. But here she's got a child. At this time I'm 4. And this is the first traumatic incident that I can recall. And so my mom was the one that told me about this later, what actually was happening. And so I'll just tell you before even going into sharing the story. So her boyfriend already had 3 children, didn't want another one, really liked her, wanted her to be in his life, but not necessarily the 4-year-old girl that comes with that. So I remember being the 4-year-old girl out on the boat. I remember being off the boat, going underwater, and I remember my mom coming to save me. So he, knowing I didn't know how to swim, went out to the middle of the lake on the boat, took me, this is my mom's story, and dropped me in the water, knowing I didn't know how to swim. So essentially giving my mom an opportunity to just not to be single again. I'm not really sure. Anyways, thankfully, my mom came to my rescue. And the memory is fairly vague. I remember going underwater. I remember my mom coming out to grab me. But I also remember this really long, tiring walk with no shoes around the lake. And I believe it was sunset. And I just remember thinking, I just didn't understand at 4 years old what had even happened. But now I know we were on a boat. I was in the water. And now we're walking this really long walk with no shoes back, I'm guessing back to where the vehicle is. And it's a big lake. And I just remember the sun is setting and my mom is angry and I don't understand what's going on. And I just remember thinking this is sad. This is what life is. I don't understand. Why is she so angry? Did I do something? Why are we being punished and having to walk and it hurts and we're tired? And what is even going on? I did learn later through a therapy session that at that point in time, walking around that lake, I made a vow that no one was to ever be trusted. And yes. So I think that's a very important piece of my story, walking through, knowing that I made that vow as a 4-year-old girl not to trust people, just going through my story. So yes, thankfully that boyfriend was gone. And
so I love how you say this so calmly, but I just want to make it clear. The boyfriend tried to drown you, and thankfully your mom rescued you. And there was obviously a lot of trauma that came from that, and you've had the opportunity to work through that using Splankna and other things. And it's been really cool that God has redeemed that story, and it's a powerful one to share, along with the other stories that you're going to share. So I just wanted to kind of summarize that. You say it so so cutely, but it's terrible. It's really terrible. Okay, moving on. Everdawn.
Terrible. Yes. And the only reason why I it's my story. I've got to share my story. It happened, and it is shocking to me. And I'm so thankful as the 4-year-old little girl that I didn't realize what he was actually doing at the time. But I do remember my mom being really angry and not necessarily understanding what the heck was going on and just being so confused. And I'm sure that
you felt were unwanted. I mean, kids, that's the wild thing is kids will pick up on those things and they feel those things and they can internalize those things. And it's just, and it's always interesting how like when we're weakest, that's when, the enemy wants us to take like a vow or lie so he can like cause more damage later. So
Yes.
Okay.
And for the people who ever, I think that's like when a human being causes trauma to a child, they are literally opening up the door for the enemy to come in and wreak havoc on their life. And so knowing that, and just the enemy is out to kill, he's just out to kill and destroy. And being aware of that and not sweeping that under the rug and pretending like that's not true, I think is very powerful and something we all need to be aware of instead of everything's good and we're great and, life is joyful. Like, yes, there's a lot of joy in life, but we're also on this side of this side of heaven. And there's a spiritual realm, a battle going on, and we need to be aware of it. So going throughout life, and again, I have wonderful, like on the outside looking in, I'm sure everything looked great. Besides the fact that I have a single mom growing up in a very conservative small town in Montana in the 80s. There are definitely some things with that, which, not necessarily trauma-inducing, just more awareness and my perspective for other people and how they see things. So the next like big trauma that happened to me, I was 7 years old, and my mom had just, again, broken up with a boyfriend. This time she has a newborn baby, and this boyfriend just didn't want more kids, and so he was out of the picture. And, looking back, I see her situation so clearly, and I have forgiven her deeply, like, for this situation. So 7 years old, second grade just started. She won't let me go spend the night at a friend's house, and I'm in the closet crying. I'm upset at her because she won't let me go spend the night at a friend's house. And next thing I know, she comes into that closet and rips me out of that closet and continues to beat me up. And it felt like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It went on for so long. And she was screaming and hitting me and just, the things that she was saying was just so awful. And she was just going to, send me to my dad. She was tired of me being there. Like I was too much. And granted, she hasn't really allowed me to have a meaningful relationship with my dad at this point. So I am getting beaten, told she doesn't want me, told I'm going to be sent to my dad's. Like, it was so terrifying. It was a very, very traumatic event. And just, after that event, I couldn't go to school for 2 weeks. I was too bruised.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I remember looking at my front of my body in the mirror, and there were bruises everywhere. It was so shocking, and I just didn't understand it at all. Who would understand that? I don't understand it to this day. How could anyone do that? But as I was walking through this with the Lord, and he just reminded me, here's a single mom. She's got all the weight on her shoulders. She really wants to have a family. She wants to have children. She wants to be married. She wants a healthy family life. And now she's likely postpartum, has a baby at home, now is going back to work. And now she's a single mom with 2 kids. And, I just happened to be in the crosshairs of what was going on and suffered because of that. And what's so interesting is I have a feeling that there are a lot of parents out there and a lot of kids out there who have experienced something similar, and they're keeping it a secret because it's scary and traumatizing, and they don't know what that's going to do to other people in sharing that. And I just so loudly want to say how important it is to share that, to open up, and to share those hard moments and those hard situations and those trauma moments and bring it to light. Because when you keep it a secret and you keep it in the darkness, the enemy is able to use that. And as an adult with unhealed trauma, as you're going out and you're not recognizing, you're not healing from that situation that happened that you're trying to keep hidden so no one sees it, that it still shows up. And it shows up more in the adult life, I think, than it does even for the rest of your like upbringing when something like that happens. And so, yeah, it's, so yes, walked through that whole situation through therapy and learned that during that time I made an agreement for power, I believe. And, one thing when you make an agreement, and these aren't even like conscious agreements, these are unconscious agreements that you make, you're hurt, doors open, wide open for the enemy. And he's like, hey, here, I'll give you power so that you don't ever have to feel that way again. And you subconsciously make an agreement, if you will, and he gives you everything except for what he says he's going to give you, right?
Yes.
And thankfully, God is so good, and he covered all of this. I came to know the Lord when I was 19, and it was a full circle moment. Like, there was no turning back, and he washed me clean. He made everything, I walked through, I did the healing with him through all of this, but I still had things that I needed addressed. And we did that through Splankna, and I think Splankna is the best thing that's ever happened. I think, in fact, every time I hear someone's story, I'm like, I need to tell them about Splankna. They need to do an hour of Splankna. Because I'm just not a big fan of therapy and sitting there for hours and hours and hours. And full disclosure, I don't think I've done any therapy in that, like, therapist one-on-one talking is just not my thing. I don't enjoy it. I love talking one-on-one with you and people like you. So that's very healing too. So back to my story.
Yeah, so I was going to say, let's pause for just a second. So again, putting things in perspective,
yes.
Even though we can understand, and I think, that, hey, they're in a bad situation and this and that gives some understanding. And for a victim, it's never justification at all. And It's really powerful, though, I think, when we go through and, like, call a spade, and then the Lord, like, shows you where he was at during this and how much you're loved, and then gives you perspective as to, like, what, she was going through. And again, not to justify any actions, but hurt people. Mm-hmm. And that is so beautiful. But I never, ever want anyone to ever feel like they deserved it or they, take it on themselves, because, like you said, it's something really beautiful. It was her problem. It was a very bad thing. And that has to be owned. And I just think it's beautiful, like the power of the healing. And it's wonderful, like how, Splankna. And the nice thing is this will be airing after we had Sarah Thiessen, the one who started Splankna.
Oh, good.
And then we're having Heather, who wrote the book together, Upper Dog. So this comes in a really good time, so that when people want to, they can really understand about it. And
every single Christian needs to read Upper Dogs. Best book ever.
Absolutely. And I can't imagine, like, how traumatic, even as a kid, and how that affected your upbringing and your decisions.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Well, let me share with you how that all went down. So my mom up and moved to California. So we just up and moved to California from Billings, Montana, I believe, 4th grade-ish. Lived in California for a couple years. She met a new boyfriend, which was also a little bit traumatizing. And we just up and moved to New Mexico, Santa Fe, New Mexico, a couple years after that. So 7th and 8th grade in New Mexico with a new boyfriend. He's got 2 kids. My mom has 2 kids. So we're just blending it all together and just fighting the good fight of a blended family. And he also had drug abuse. He was an alcoholic. It was bad. It was really bad. So in Santa Fe, New Mexico, blonde-haired, blue eyes, it's not really the norm in New Mexico. And so in order to not get threatened and beat up every day, I had to go to a Catholic school. So 8th grade, Catholic school, St. Francis Cathedral School in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It is beautiful and it is so cool. And we had Sister Pauline as our principal. And what's fascinating is, we did the mass, we did the church stuff. It was my first introduction to anything with religion. And I liked it. It was beautiful. I was respectful of it. And I'll never forget my 8th grade religion teacher at the end of the school year, like we're getting ready to graduate. And someone asked her, do you know for sure that God is real? Are you 100% sure? Like, you know him and he's real? And she said, no, I don't know. I just have faith that he's real. And at that, I mean, I distinctly remember thinking, there is no God. I'm not wasting my time on this anymore. There is no God. So full-on atheist, graduating 8th grade from Catholic school. So I was really tired of the things that were going on with my mom. So I called my dad after 8th grade and I was like, come get me. He was still in Montana, in Billings, Montana, and I love Montana. It's just, it had always called me back. And during this time I was visiting him and spending time with him, and we ended up becoming very close. So he makes me wait a week to think about it, and then he comes, and I just got in the car and was like, let's go. We're going back to Montana. He was like, let's have a conversation with your mom. I was like, nope, she's not gonna let me go. We need to go. And I want out of here. Like, I made a decision. I can't do this anymore. This isn't healthy. And so we drove, like, I made him drive and cross a couple state borders before we would get a hotel room. So it was like late in the middle of the night, like we're driving, and he has always loved me so much. He's been such a good dad. Once we were able to have that relationship. So moved to Billings, Montana, started high school. Now, back a couple steps in New Mexico, my mom felt that I was smarter than everyone else. So she switched my birth certificate, made me a year older, and went ahead and took me from 5th grade and just jumped me up to 7th grade in New Mexico. Yeah, that's a whole, like, I feel like that's like another 30-minute story.
Yeah.
And there's so much good stuff in this entire story, but I just want people to hear my heart so that they too can be set free, knowing that nothing in your past determines who you are now and what your future is. Like,
yes,
God just uses all things for good. So moved to Billings, Montana, start high school. I love it. I like social butterfly, living my best life. And growing up in Billings, Montana in the 90s, it was so good and wholesome until it wasn't. And by the time we were juniors in high school, there was a good amount of drugs and other things going on, lots of drinking. Gosh, lots of drinking. I remember at one point thinking, I think it was a Friday, and I was like, if I go out tonight, I'll drink again. And I think I've drank every day this week, just to give you an idea. We didn't have cell phones. We were bored. Like, and this was
let's just drink.
We were having, at the time, looking back, I mean, I thought I was living my best life. It was fun.
Right.
And there was an addiction that crept up in high school, and it was definitely the addiction to be thin. Being thin in the 90s, it was a very real thing. And so when the drug scene popped up, it really kind of promised, to be thin. I would do anything to be thin, and just, I don't know.
What did that look like, Everdawn? And are you willing to name the addiction?
Yeah, just being addicted to being thin. Well, definitely
so anorexia.
Yes, okay. Yes. Okay. No, I could never, thankfully, get myself to throw up. But definitely had control over what I ate and what I did. And it was definitely just a control mechanism. Like, I had very little control over my upbringing and just all that had happened. And so this was one thing that I control, and yeah. I did a great job of controlling that. And so just lack of nutrition going through high school, and,
and lots of alcohol.
Lots of alcohol, any type of drug that kind of came my way, I tried it. Thankfully, drugs and alcohol never were really anything, like, it just didn't, like, I never desired it. Like, if it came across my path, who am I to say no? Like, let's try it. I didn't know the Lord. I didn't know any better. Everyone else was doing it. Like, I was just here for the fun.
Right.
And I specifically remember in high school, like, not desiring to live past the age of 25. I certainly didn't want to get married, didn't want to have kids. Like, I was good. Like, I was going to live my best life. And so I literally was living for the moment, like, each day. And I just didn't even care about the future, which is so crazy to me, because that is not how I feel today. And knowing my high school story hopefully brings understanding as to why I've held my story a little tight until watching my kids go through high school, because that was very nerve-wracking when they started hitting high school, like what this was going to look like. And thankfully it was nothing what I experienced in high school. It was like, the kids these days, they're smart. They know. They take care of themselves. They make better decisions. At least that's been my experience. But those children are prayed over every single day. So went to college, like, with all of this stuff going on, and just continued the fun party scene and socializing, and that was way more important than going to college to me. Both my parents have master's degrees, and so it was just always expected that I'm going to go to college. Like, that was never something that was kind of like a choice. So went to college, first semester, completely dropped out. I mean, I got kicked out, academic probation, actually. I think I had like a 0.2. Like, opened up the books, went the first week, and I met my people in that week and didn't go back to class. I was fine. Yeah. Yes. So when, and then like got a job and, got an apartment and just, realized like that life was just not very much fun. So moved back down to New Mexico to spend about 6 months with my mom. She had had 2 more boys in this time period that I had ran away. We didn't really talk, but now we're talking again. Went and stayed with her for 6 months to help her because she was single again, and I was just helping her get, things put back together. And my aunt and uncle had just moved to Billings, and they had sold their Bible bookstore in Culbertson, Montana, in their little motel, and they were coming to Billings, and I loved them. And so when I left my mom's place, I went to go stay with my aunt and uncle, and they were like, yes, come stay with us, come live with us. And our only thing is you need to go to church once, like every Sunday. That's our only requirement. Come live with us, be a part of our family, go back to school. Like, let's start over. And I was like, absolutely. I get to hang out with my family and have like meals made for me every night. And all I have to do is go to church on Sunday. Sure. No problem. So, yeah. Do you have anything you want to interject into at this point?
This is great. I love it. Are you feeling stuck in with love, wealth, or peace? Well, you're not alone. Often it's a subconscious belief holding you back. That's why I combined life coaching and hypnotherapy together, so you can break through what's been keeping you stuck. Life coaching helps you shift your mindset, while hypnotherapy works deep within to reprogram limiting beliefs and memories. It's fast, it's effective, typically 1 session of each, and I have a few openings left. Are you ready for a change? Visit livebrighter.info and book your free consultation and see if this approach is right for you. See you then.
Okay, because sometimes I can get talking so much and literally, like, I'm so excited to tell you my story. I'll, like, talk too much. I can't even breathe. Anyways, so start going to this church, and it's Faith Chapel in Billings, Montana. Stan Simmons is the pastor, and both those names just mean so much to me. So I'm going to church every Sunday, and for like 30 days. And each night I'm sitting there talking with my aunt, telling her my situation, what's going on, and she is like pouring into me the word, the Bible, like all about the Lord. I mean, she just came out of like a very hard town where she owned a business. And so God walked her through all of that. And that's all she talked about was God. And I was like, okay, I'm here for it. Let's talk about it. And we talked a lot. And then about probably 4 weeks in, I felt when I first went to church, I felt so bad for these people that they were so brainwashed, that they were singing and praising and lifting their hands. And I was embarrassed for them. It was sad to me. I mean, that's how I started. But I kept going each week, third or fourth week. The pastor has a sermon. Stan has a sermon. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my aunt is telling the pastor everything that I'm talking to her about. So we go home and I'm like, hey, please don't talk to other people about my situation. And she was like, oh, what do you mean? I'm not talking to anyone about your situation. I was like, Pastor Stan, you obviously called him, told him my whole situation. And she was like, Everdawn, I literally have never met Stan. Like, it's a really big church. We're new here. I've never even met him. He doesn't even know what your story is. And I was like, interesting. Okay. So then it was like, okay, that was a super, like, very revealing, very vulnerable sermon. And so that, like, I think within the next week or so, I, like, at nighttime, everyone's in bed, and I, like, go up to the kitchen and I, like, take her Bible and take it down to my room. And I'm just like, Lord, God, if you're real, I need you to tell me. Like, I need this moment in time. I need you to tell me. They say all the time that you speak. This is your word. You're going to talk to me in this word. So I open up the Bible and I just start reading. And no, I don't remember what part of the Bible it is. So, like, I read the Bible all the time, and sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe this is it. But I just don't remember. But it literally explained, like, my past hurts, my current situation, and the future that he had planned for me. And the future he had planned for me was so beautiful, but just, like, it was so good. So I take myself down back, I'm in my room, and I ask him to be my Lord and Savior, to forgive me of all my sins, and I accept him. And I can be a pretty quiet person, and at that point, I just had so much going on, so I didn't tell anyone. I just kept going about my days, and my aunt and I are going for a bike ride. And, like, when I came to know the Lord, Tara, everything looked different. The grass looked greener. Like, the McDonald's sign that I have literally been driving by my entire life looked pretty. Like, it was crazy. Other people looked so beautiful to me. I just couldn't get enough of this life. Like, it was just like, I don't know, the love that I felt and the love that I had in myself to share with other people. And so, again, my aunt doesn't know. We're on a bike ride. And I'm 19 years old and so selfish, only thinks about myself, only here for the party. And now I'm on this bike ride with her, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look how beautiful the grass is. It's so green. Look at those flowers. Oh my goodness, look at those flowers. Look what they've done over there. And she literally almost falls off of her bike, and she gets off her bike and is like, Everdawn, did you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior? And I was like, oh, yes, I did. I've been caught. Yes, I did. So at that, it was July 17th, 1997, when that happened. I was 19. And God has been with me every single step of the way. It was like the friends that I had, gone. The music I listened to changed. It just, I went out and bought myself a Bible immediately and had my name engraved on there. And went to church. Like, sometimes I would go every Wednesday night. Sometimes I would even go twice on Sunday, just so I could get as much as I possibly could. I was just totally on fire for the Lord. So now here I am, 28 years later, and he just covered my whole story, my whole hard story, where, like, there isn't much that wasn't involved in that. Like, emotional abuse, physical abuse. I had drug abuse. I drank alcohol. I had anorexia, like, all these things. I come to know him, and he washes it all clean, like, completely healed. Like, anorexia never, like, I understood that moment in time that my body was a temple and that I was to take care of myself. And he just taught me, like, the importance of food and taking care of myself and feeling good and being able to, like, this love I had for other people. I needed to feel good in order to do that. So that's my story until 19, until I came to know the Lord. And now I just want to know where we're at for time and what you're thinking.
Well, we're out of time, and I think we'll have to have you back another time because, yes. When you were saved till now, it's not like I don't want to leave people with the, hey, and then it was all washed and all gone. Because in some ways it wasn't. But in other ways, you had some big journey things that happened that would honestly be really impactful to share. Mm-hmm. And that I think we're going to do that another time. We'll have you back because that's almost its own story. So,
oh my God. I'm telling you, there's like 10 stories, just like you. You have so many different stories.
And I am so thankful, Everdawn, that you shared this story because I think that, like, what would you want to say to people that have been through the abuse, the anorexia, all the different things? Like, what's your concluding thing that you would like to say to them?
You can be healed of all of it through Jesus. You just need to turn to him for everything at all times, always. He is where the joy is. He's the only way. There's no other way. That is the most important thing. And just to seek him in all that you do. And literally, I have to read his word every single day. I cannot start my day, I cannot get through my day without reading his word. He guides me, he grounds me, he directs me. And my life is a true reflection of him walking with me again after the, coming to know him, and 28 years later, it beautifully reflects him. Definitely not easy, definitely lots of hardships, lots of learning, like relationships. We're on this side of heaven. Everyone has hurts, and how we all go through that. Like, I've experienced it all. So yes, I would love to be back and share more of that. But yes, you can be free. You just need to choose him.
I love it. So do you have an Instagram or anything that people can follow just to get to know you more? Or...
Oh gosh, you're adorable. Yes. So I sell real estate. So my my Instagram handle is Bozeman, Montana Real Estate. And would love for people to follow me there. You're going to learn a little bit about real estate, a little bit about what's going on in Bozeman, and a little bit about what God is continuing to do in my life. And just honestly, also how powerful women are, just wise, and God called us, and not so much powerful. Like, I definitely want to stay on the narrow road with that, and just like, when we are it through God's power, we have so much to give, and we have so much to do, and we literally are like, we're moving the world. And I just don't think we're taught that as women very much. In fact, I know we're not. We're not taught this at all. We're taught to like stay quiet, stay meek, stay in the background, hold the weight for everyone else, do everything. But yet we are warriors. We have a lot to give, and the world is moving because of us. And I would love for everyone to be made aware of that.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Ever. We'll see you again.